Hey, it's Mo. I actually filmed this first impression last week, but I had a few other things to get up in the meantime, so I'm actually kind of glad I waited on this one because I have used this palette a couple of times since the first impression, and I have a few updates on it, so at the end of the video I will give you those. So I just wanted to kind of fill you in on that. And let's talk Sephora. I just found this at Sephora. It's the Sephora Glacial Glow. Ooh, that's shiny. Sephora Glacial Glow palette. It is $34. According to this, it is a $62 value. And I have only looked on the back. I have not opened it yet. So like 20 shadows, and then it looks like a bronzer and a highlight, at least from what I can tell. But I thought we'd look at this one, and I'll swatch it, and I'll try some of it on to give you an idea of, is it any good? Is it not any good? At least from, based on my opinion, which is all I can give you. Here's the inside packaging, obviously very similar to the box. Looks like you open this, and then you've got the palette this way. So it's kind of turn it on its side. And it says "Get Glowing" on that little thing. And then you've got a big mirror, and you can fold these pieces. So here's what we've got. It's basically like a quad up here that is matte, another quad down here that is matte, and everything else, including the highlight and we'll call it the bronzer, has shimmer. It's called the Glacial Glow Eyeshadow and Highlight Palette. So perhaps they're considering this a highlight or an eyeshadow. It doesn't really matter what they consider it. You can use it for whatever you would like. So I think we should swatch these. Does that sound good? I'm actually going to do this little quad right here. I'm curious about this. And ooh, that, like this pink color felt very dry, and I'm not seeing a lot of color from that. So let's start here. So here are the first four in that quad, if you want to call it that. Like I said, that fourth color, which is kind of that pink, I'm not seeing much. And it doesn't feel very creamy. So there's kind of the first four mattes. Let's go this way. In fact, I'm going to kind of keep doing the quad idea here, just since that's the way we started. And these are shimmers now. Those are not wowing me. These do not have a lot of punch, at least the way they're coming off in my swatches. Let's see how these turn out. So this reddish one, this one swatches pretty well. This pink though, even that pink is pretty sheer. You might want a sheer wash of this color and that might be perfect. But I know generally speaking, people prefer well-pigmented shades. That's just kind of considered the standard, that they should have good pigmentation, they should only need one swipe, that kind of thing. So let's do this quad, as I'm calling it, down here. I'm curious about these. That's what they look like. I'm gonna put those here. And those actually swatched very nicely. And let's do these two, and then I'm gonna do those remaining four colors here. So these are the next two shimmers in that row. And then these four. So these are four colorful shades. That one feels dry. This khaki, this shimmery khaki, that swatched pretty well. The other ones, so-so, I would say. They're not blowing me out of the water or anything. That purple, I mean, that's a pretty vibrant looking purple, and even on my finger it looks pretty vibrant. That swatch is a little better. So it may build up on the eye. And then there's this highlight, and it's called a highlight palette, so this would also be a highlight based on what Sephora is describing. And here are the two highlights. So there's the lighter one and the deeper one. The shimmery shadows show up to me more than this highlight does. Let's try some on the eyes. That's a really nicely sized mirror. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a stand exactly, or if it's just like attractive, kind of. let's just do something kind of predictable in the crease. A color like this for me works pretty well. Let's see how it lays in there. I've dipped in 2 or 3 times to the pan. It seems like they're pressed fairly hard in the pan, which some people really like because then they don't have to deal much with fallout. And if that's something you're into, you might really like this formula. And I mean, the result I'm getting, that's fine, right? You know, good old crease color. It didn't lay down like an insane amount of pigment, but again, it's so much personal choice. Like, how do you really want your shadows to be, or, you know, if you're gifting shadows to someone. I want to use this because this one did not swatch well at all. I'm going to use that on more of a flat brush here. I swear this is picking up nothing. If you're seeing a lot of color on the brush, I had used this previously and hadn't cleaned it yet. So I think that's what you're seeing. And maybe this is just a lighter shade than it looks in the pan, but I'm not seeing a whole lot there. Let's pick a shimmer like this down here, this kind of, oh, it's kind of a mauve. That's what I would call it, as a mauve. And I am using a brush, which normally I would use my finger, but I'm just curious about how this is gonna go on. So I've gone back in again. I'm gonna go in with my finger actually, to that same color, and see what that does. That definitely helps. I mean, and typically I use a finger on shimmers anyway. I don't know why I used a brush. I guess I was just kind of testing it out here to see. And the effect on the eye, it's soft, but it's kind of pretty. But it took some doing to get to that point. I'm gonna use this highlight shade actually to highlight my brow. See what that does. Because remember, it barely showed up when I swatched it. I still don't see much from that. Now that could be my skin tone. It could just be like enough pinky peachy, too light that it doesn't show up on me. But I'm really barely seeing that. I don't know if you're seeing that or not. I guess this is a black. I was thinking this was a dark brown, but it's really a black. And it's kind of skipping. I feel like it's skipping a little bit here. And it's not the easiest thing to blend. I'm gonna try this shimmer in the middle of my lid, center of my lid, and just see what we think of that. See, that goes on very nicely. And again, that other shimmer did go on much better with my fingertip. And this is not supposed to be like some kind of fantastic eye look. It's really just a matter of testing out the formulas and the colors and that kind of thing. So you could get an idea of what this palette has in store if it's something that interests you. I like the mirror. The packaging is kind of cute. It's okay, it's not bad. It might be a great gift. It might be exactly what you're looking for because you don't want like something that's so pigmented that it's hard to work with. I'm disappointed in a way because I felt like last year Sephora just really didn't bring it with their holiday collection, and so this year I admit I was kind of hoping for something better, and they may have a lot more things coming out. I don't know, it's very early in the season. This was a first impression that I did sometime last week, and since then I've used the palette another 3 times. I don't know why, but I felt like I really need to like this palette. I need to find a way to like this. I spent $34 on it. You know, it wasn't terrible. I need to find a way to like it. But I have to be completely honest and say I simply could not get on with this palette. I tried like 3 different eye looks and none of them performed well. In fact, I have one on right now. This is the end of the day. I put on a few colors this morning and like the shimmer is completely gone and it really didn't go on that well this morning. So I returned this palette to Sephora today, and I am not a big fan of returning things. I think Sephora could have done a lot better with this palette for $34. I really think for $34 from another brand, you could get better quality shadows. So that's just my real official take on this, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that to make sure I was being fair and gave it a fair shake. But that is kind of my final word on that. So I hope that was helpful. That is my only purpose here. As always, thanks for hanging out and talking makeup with me. I love this stuff. Have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.